This video is an overview of disassembling, rebuilding, reassembling the GM, and in this case the SD260 starter for the 95 S10 and etc. You can buy a remanufactured one for 120 plus, I don't know, $30 shipping. I bought a starter through Rock Auto for my 350 Blazer and got screwed like you can't believe because they sent me a bad starter that was not assembled correctly. The pinion gear did not go out and fully engage with the ring gear. It just cut on the end, destroyed the ring gear. So I had to do a transmission transfer case pull, new ring gear, and then go through 5 new or rebuilt starters to find one that was close. Then I had to modify it. There is the reason to rebuild the old one, because you know it works. This one was in the truck for 15 years or more. It worked. It was getting noisy, so it needed bearings. So the bearings for this starter are these INA needle bearings with no inner cage, correction, no inner race. The shaft on each end is the inner race, but they are open both ends, needle bearings, SCE 78 and for X-Ray Foxtrot Hotel 1 from Granger. They are a pig to get out. There's one that's installed. It's a blind installation. There's a tool for $40 through Amazon to pull them. Not necessary. Clean the grease out. Reach in with a dental pick and pick away the cage, or if necessary, grind this top ridge away with a Dremel and a small stone. Reach in, pick the cage out, pick the rollers out, clean all the grease out, and then use a small emery stone and a Dremel to then grind like this. Grind a lip away, get a cylindrical emery stone, and lay it down in beside there and grind through the bearing race. When it lets go, you may see it snap or pop. Don't grind through the housings. On the nose end, I drilled 2 small holes to try to drift the bearing out. It's in there too tight. But those were useful to then help push out the remaining bearing shell. The pig in this job is this stop collar here. I'm going to get some more light on that PIG. That stop collar is round, and if it slides to the right, you'll see a steel ring inside. It's a C ring. It is not a snap ring. It's a bit flexible. Yes, it's hard steel, but it's not a snap ring. And that assembly goes together, or comes apart by taking the front housing off, and there's a plate with a lip to the right. That plate comes off, then take a socket and drive that ring backwards, and then that leaves the C ring on the shaft. Pry the C ring off, take that collar off. To reassemble, put the that's called the pinion stop collar there, the one with the grease on it. The pinion face comes out and hits against that to limit the travel. That bears against that C ring down inside that groove. And I've already got it pressed together, so I can't take it apart and show it to you. But to put it together, you bring the plate up from the other side with the T up and use 2 pair of pliers or 2 small pair of vice grips to snap it together, and it'll just snap the ring right in. And there are, contrary to the manual, there are 2 grooves, and I put it in the upper groove because there's a section in between the grooves that's a larger diameter. So I think that's the correct assembly. So if it isn't, then when you install the starter and check clearances, you'll find it. But I believe that's correct. Pardon me. There is a drain, in this case, right there. That goes down. There's a notch in the case up here. I made a mistake of thinking those have to be aligned, and they can't be, because this field lead has to coincide with the cone here for the starter solenoid. So that notch in this side of the black case, you can't see it, but it engages down over this rubber isolator. And that rubber isolator right there is part of the shift fork mechanism. And so this bent ring terminal must be on this side. And up inside here is the end of the shift fork. And see how the rubber thing, that's a seal. So it goes back together like that with the fork way back in there. And then into that goes this Getty McGatcher right there, and a return spring. And then that goes up inside the solenoid. This solenoid is sealed, pressed together. It's set down inside, and this edge is rolled over it. Inside should be a big copper disc. It's not possible to take that apart easily. What could be done is cut this case away down about here, and then tack weld it back together and seal it. Here is, besides the bearings being bad, here's the bad 9-tooth pinion. See the shiny? The shiny means the hardness is gone from the teeth. See the teeth further back are black. That shiny is bad. That means the hard coating is gone and the teeth are going to start flaking off. So this is known by the 9-tooth roller clutch, and the clutch turns facing, it turns clockwise, but I'm not sure that's the correct designation. I'm sorry, looking this way it turns clockwise. The drive would be counter. I think this is a counterclockwise, but then these two ears here receive the fork from this solenoid shifter mechanism to slide this back and forth. That's on a spiral. There's 3 tabs in there, and there's 3 spiral grooves machined into the shaft of the armature, the rotor, down inside here, so that when this is forced out by the solenoid, the thing rotates to give this gear a rotational velocity instead of just going out straight and dead into the side of the ring gear. And that's what helps the rotation and the motion, help that gear to mesh as it's spinning with the stationary ring gear on the flywheel. Here's a brush assembly. It was good. The brushes are worn, but the commutator looks about like new. The GM manual says that that commutator assembly is poured together as one piece, or molded together and then machined. Don't try to undercut the commutator. Undercutting means where the dark areas are between the copper strips, right here. Don't try to cut them away. I used 600 and 1500 grit sandpaper to polish it down. The commutator looks pretty much like new. Note the black sleeving up here. That's that conductor right there. That's welded onto a tab down inside there. See the insulating sheet? That insulating sheet must be there. A thin sheet just on the inside of the housing. And I routed that up over around here instead of under the plate, and see that screw has a smooth nose on it so it doesn't dig in. But the trick to get clearance right there by that spring is to take that black insulation, has that stranded wire like that in it, and very gently with a pair of pliers flatten that out. That makes clearance between the spring and the housing. To get the armature in there with these brushes sticking out, because those coil springs are pretty strong, push the brush in the housing and the brush holder. Notice the brush holder has a slot inside. See where the wire goes in it? Right there. These brushes don't have a hole. The brushes don't have a retaining hole in them to go through the hole in the top of the brass colored holder right here. There should be a hole in the brush, so when you push a brush back, put a pin in there to keep them. So push the brush back in. Of course, the rotor won't be in there. And then force a small Allen wrench up in here between the top side of that brass colored housing and where that leaf spring goes around to the back, shove an Allen wrench back in there. That'll lock it, hold the spring so it can't force the brush back out, and then slide the commutator up in it. For grease, they call for a certain GM grease. I don't have it, don't know what it is. I happen to have bought some CRC synthetic brake caliper grease. It's very thick, it's high temperature. This starter sees high temperatures, so don't put regular NGLI2 in it. It'll just run out. But this starter has the needle bearing, and you can see that I packed a cavity full of grease back in there. That bearing doesn't seat all the way back in the housing. There's a pocket down in there for the removal tool, and that pocket is a convenient place to hold a supply of grease, because that grease needs to last 10, 15 years or so. So some of these starters had bronze bushings in place of these needle bearings. It is absolutely crucial that this face, I'm trying to hold the flashlight here, that this face of, over there, this face of the pinion gear, where the tooth is thick, right there on the end, the tooth is rolled, so it can engage with the ring gear. But this point right here, just to the inside of the face, must go all the way through the ring gear, not part way, all the way, else there'll be short gear life and damage. And checking alignment is not easy. Not easy to get up in there. And there is a common procedure for engaging this pinion gear in the ring gear and checking the clearance between the peak of this tooth and the root of the ring gear. That's next to impossible unless you do one of two things. Either number one, take the solenoid out so the spring doesn't have this retracted, and then just slide this forward to go through the ring gear. Or back here on the solenoid, there are two wires. It's oriented like that in the vehicle. This is toward the engine where you can't reach it. Thanks, guys. But this is the battery terminal. This is a solenoid terminal. You can see the plate coming out of the solenoid. This goes here to that terminal there. But disconnect the big battery terminal, the big red wire. Leave the solenoid wire connected and have a helper while you're under there looking at the ring gear, and you've taken the bell housing cover off the transmission so you can see. But have a helper get in, and without, of course, the starter won't run, so the engine won't start. But have a helper turn the ignition key forward to the start position. Since a battery cable is disconnected, the starter motor won't run. But it will activate the solenoid, and it will push the pinion gear all the way out. Then you can check the mesh. Don't keep the key on for more than a few seconds, because the solenoid is going to draw somewhere around 10 amp. It'll kill the battery. But just long enough to check the, put a wire through it and check it. Here's a tool for checking the clearances. A Norco MIG torch cleaning tip set. These are little round files. And you can see, pardon me, you can see a couple have bent ends. Those are the ones I used to gauge a starter, and I gauged, I think it was about 60 thousandths. So take the pin out here and take the little individual files out and bend them over. And 40 to 60 is probably good. Mine read about 60. So you can hold the other end up here and reach up and put that between the ring gear and the pinion gear. There's a warning in the GM manual up inside this metal case. On the inside are the stationary windings. They say don't use solvent in there because it'll cause damage. The brush plate comes off with two of these screws. Take that out, Clean it with light solvent or light solvent and soap and water, dry it quickly. And there's nothing in that assembly that will be hurt by limited contact with solvent. But make sure the surface of the brushes are clean and the commutators clean. If you want, use Brasso to deoxidize them. And here's a mistake that I made. I put the pinion stop collar in the wrong place. I put it on the groove. Maybe you can see the groove down in there. I put it in the wrong groove. I put it in the groove closer to the starter body. And when the armature is slid in till that stops, see the brushes overhanging? That'll destroy the brushes and the commutator. So I've got to take the case off and take that out and reposition that stop collar toward the end of the shaft. So now that it's back apart again, I can show you what's up in here. See it rotate as it moves. 3 grooves back there, lubricated the splines with the brake caliper lube. And here, this plate comes off. The plate has a shoulder towards the starter motor. And then this collar is driven back by a socket. Don't try to pick that ring out of there. You'll be forever and not get it. But to take a socket that just fits the edge of that and knock that collar back like that. There's the pinion stop, and there's a little C-ring, and I'll move the C-ring to this groove here. And now the assembly's together with the T-washer with the T to the inside and 2 pair of pliers. One on each side. Will just snap that together. Okay, little mistakes we make. The previous bit about the armature sliding too far in was incorrect. The C retaining ring only fits in one of these slots because the other slot is a larger diameter. So that's just the way it is. Apparently, the armature will center itself when the magnetic field hits it. There's a check in GM manual for pinion clearance. Reach down in here and pull that out. That's also how it would be done if you remove the solenoid with the starter on the engine to slide the pinion out. Check for full engagement. But the manual says to pull this lever in here out and then push back on that at the same time. There should be, they call for 10 thousandths to 160 thousandths clearance between these 2 members, between the end of the pinion and the stop collar. Now the manual says actually to supply power to the solenoid terminal and kick the pinion gear out under the solenoid power. So that's the best way to check that clearance. Just pushing on the fork pushes the pinion all the way out in contact. I was able to push it back and find a detent that gave a little bit of clearance, and that's probably what they're referring to. On the solenoid, hold these studs on the end after removing the top nut and take the bottom nuts away and spray some cleaner, clean the threads off, put a little bit of Loctite on there, and then tighten the nuts again because those nuts tend to come loose. This is the solenoid. This part goes toward the inside. You can see where the finish is not damaged there. There's a square edge. That coincides with that rubber piece and that notch down in there. And there's a detail on the solenoid connections.